Wondercon 2018 is in the record books. Tonight we tell you everything we learned, everything we bought, everything we saw, everything we experienced. It was a great weekend. We even have some suggestions on how they can make it better. Plus a little bit of San Diego Comic-Con updates, Scooby Natural. We talk a little bit about this little book here, Ready Player One. They had a great panel this weekend, all this week.
Welcome to Popcorn Talk, featuring movie discussion, news, and interviews. Popcorn Talk, we talk movies. And now, here's Popcorn Talk's The Con Guy,
Here we go, guys.
Con Prep Show.
I got no voice left to do that with after booing all weekend.
This is our WonderCon after show. This is the after party for WonderCon since they didn't really have one. We got to talk to you about that, Mr. Ric Flair.
Yeah, what's with that cat tweet?
All right, welcome to the conguy.com show. It's the Con Guy Comic-Con Prep Show here, and I am the editor-in-chief of the conguy.com. Thank you guys for showing up with us tonight. Thank you for watching. We have a great show tonight. My name is Jim Frye, and hopefully you are subscribing to the show, and hopefully you'll be watching the show every week. We have a lot of great guests tonight, and I'll just let them introduce themselves.
Hi, I'm Derek Sams. I'm a contributor to the conguy.com.
Katie Kawamoto, I am the resident cosplayer, I guess.
Cosplay expert. Well, except for...
I am Bernie Bregman, the Geek Gatsby of Nerds Like Us. I program midnight movies. I throw the most killer, epic parties in all of nerddom.
Darn straight.
And tonight, I am the 16-time world champion, Nature Boy, Ric Flair.
Woo! That's why his voice is gone. And who's on the couch?
What a story. Hi, I'm Tommy. I'm here on couch right now for that Cheeseman on the couch guy. Don't know much about him. He's not a big Hollywood movie star, but I go into WonderCon and have a good time. I like to talk about it. And my movie Best Friend coming out soon.
Yeah.
That's nice.
That's pretty good. Glad to have you, Tommy, on couch this week.
Glad to be here.
Right. So, guys, welcome to the show this week. We have a whole lot to talk about. But I just want to tell people right up front that we have a couple of guests in the room that are making it really interesting. Bernie, thank you so much for joining us today.
Always a pleasure to be with you guys, even last minute, right? So
yes.
I just want to point out, like, I was on the way to the gym, which is why otherwise I would have been in like Ric Flair in my custom-made suit with my diamond ring and my Rolex watch.
But this is all he had.
But I went right from the weight room to the con guy.
Yeah, we want to say that Lacretia Lyons was going to be on with us tonight. She did a cool interview with Nathan Fillion this weekend at WonderCon. But she has now come down with the con crud, so she is down. Also, our regular hostess, Carrie, who is on with us, like Carrie Lane, she can't be here tonight because, hold that book up. She's at the world premiere of this film right here, Ready Player One. So,
all the jealousy in the world resides right here.
but we're gonna have a lot more fun talking about the book,
Some
right?
of it's over here,
Maybe not. I wish I was there too. It was one of the best panels this weekend. I can't wait to see that film. And I'll be honest with you,
If we want to talk interviews, I did interview Chris Judge from Stargate SG-1. I mean, just throwing that out.
I was there. It was pretty awesome. You did a great panel. First of all, we have a lot of conventions coming up, and Derek's going to go ahead and say what's coming down the pike
let's
here.
look at the bulletin board. Awesome Con is coming up in Washington, D.C. the weekend of March 30th through April 1st, very soon. Indiana Comic Con is March 30th through April 1st in Indianapolis. And C2E2 is April 6th through 8th in Chicago. And that same weekend, Empire State Comic Con is April 6th through 8th in Albany, New York. And also Silicon Valley Comic Con is April 6th through 8th in San Jose. And then 1 week after that, Steel City Comic Con, April 13th to 15th in Monroeville, Pennsylvania. And it is also 16 weeks till San Diego Comic Con. 16
weeks. Do we know yet when hotels go on sale? I think
shortly.
I haven't got an email yet, so.
It should be momentarily.
Yeah,
it might happen
we
tonight.
just spent a lot of money, so why not make us pay more money?
Well, it usually happens real quickly.
It's right after WonderCon.
Yeah.
Always right after
like
WonderCon.
I said, we just spent a lot of money, and they want more.
We're already into
just
this
sleep on
week.
the roof.
I would imagine we'll get an email this week that it's like next Tuesday.
Right. Or like, remember pro registration? We got the email. It's happening tomorrow, and it was in October. We're like, this must not be true. Anyways, so before we jump into WonderCon greatness tonight, we're going to talk a little bit about what we know about San Diego Comic-Con. As we move closer to that, we only have 16 weeks to go. It's crazy. We've only got 16 weeks to San Diego. You know, it just seems like we just finished that thing. I love San Diego Comic-Con. It is the prom and Christmas and everything rolled all
And the
into
rapture.
one. Yeah, all rolled into one. My prom sucks, so let me just throw that one back out. It's great. But anyways, so there's a lot to get ready for. And so we know a little bit. We went over some things last week about it. But the one thing that's interesting is, were you guys aware of how they did the exclusives signings this year?
I entered one of them for Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
And can you explain for folks what happened?
Yeah, so basically this year they launched a online lottery system for the exclusive signings. So some of the movies, some of the artists, there's always signings for other things. So usually you have to wait in line, and it can be like 4 hours, 5 hours, depending on how early
And you show up
get
at
there.
6 in the morning.
Yeah,
Yep.
and then you draw for a ticket, and for the chance to get a wristband. And not all the tickets have a stamp for a wristband. Now I did that for once upon a time a couple years back and did draw a winning wristband. But then after they run out, it's gone. No one
Yeah.
else can get them. Well, this year they did kind of what they do with the tickets for badges and with hotels, and you just signed up online for whatever exclusive signings you wanted to go to, and you were entered into that contest. And then like 3 days before Wondercon, you had to go on the site, click the exclusives tab, and click like 2 other things just to find out if you did or did not get it. And then you brought the confirmation in the morning to get your wristband for the signing. And I'm assuming it was a test run for Comic-Con, because Comic-Con, it's even worse. You can draw, you wait in the line, you draw, and then you pretty much can't draw for anything else because you just spent all your time in line for one.
Right. Well, they're presenting it. It's solving 2 problems. One is it's getting a whole lot of lines off the floor. I think because the floor is just unmovable. You just can't get through it.
And that's actually the largest logistical nightmare for every convention is line flow, fire marshals, and things like that, because they don't actually control that. If it gets out of control, no matter what company, if HBO is screwing it up or Fox is screwing it up, whoever it is, it doesn't matter. The fire marshal doesn't work for the con and will just be like, nope, this whole section is shut down for blah, 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 blah. And that screws with everybody's business plan.
Yep.
So a lot of heartache and headache goes into line resolution.
And so
What a
that's
story.
hey you. And so that's one. And also, apparently, what did you think about the ease of use? I mean, did it make it easy for you to get your signing?
It was easy. I have a couple things that I didn't like about it. Mainly that a lot more people can submit for those few tickets than would have waited in line. So it's a bigger pool of people. And also, I feel like they left it up too long. I feel like it should be a shorter amount of time to prevent that. So, and maybe not have it be like a week before, or have it be like a few days before the Comic-Con starts. So that's just my one thing, is I kind of felt was a little bit too much time to let people
For San Diego, it might be shorter. I mean, WonderCon, since they had fewer people, even though it felt like shoulder to shoulder, butt cheek to butt cheek this year, that thing was, I got that line from Brad, if you're watching, but it was packed.
Yeah.
WonderCon was packed this year. But
It was so busy.
I know, it was great. I loved it. But 2 other things. Have you guys heard about the museum that Comic-Con is opening down in San Diego, like a pop arts museum? Well, apparently they sent out a survey to a select number of Comic-Con attendees last year, and one of the questions that caught everybody's attention was, if you became a member of this museum, what kind of benefits would you be interested in? And one of the questions was early access to badge sales for San Diego Comic-Con, which is very interesting. What do you guys think about that?
Well, I think so. Everyone complains about badges every year, right? And they keep trying to tweak the system a little here and a little there. And the truth is there is no solution. And for every 10,000 people I've seen whine and bitch about Comic-Con ticket sales, myself included, nobody has a better system to present.
All right.
So I guess all I can say is, give it a shot. Let's see what happens. But it's still one of the problems with it is that it's exclusive, and everyone that isn't part of the exclusive crowd feels isolated.
If you could not secure a badge, however it is that you do get one now, would this be something that would be appealing to you? Like, hey, I get early access to badges if I become a member of this museum.
Any opportunity to not have
I
a
would.
headache.
Yeah,
for
I
badges.
think
I
anything that
absolutely
makes it
would.
a little easier and less stressful is definitely I'm cool with.
Yeah.
Like especially with them being more strict with the whole professional badges now, it can't hurt to have another option.
Although I do have to wonder if offering that as an incentive is just going to drive up the membership for this museum to insane levels.
Or
to where
it's
that
just
they
as
can't
bad.
handle.
They know what they're doing. Hey, It's going to work. Hey, one other thing about, we don't have a lot of information about San Diego just yet, except for, the dates. We know when it's happening. We know that it's sold out. We know the hotel sales will probably happen within the next week or two. So be ready. Be watching your email boxes and make sure that your addresses are up. Your shipping address is up to date.
We can change that now.
Yes. Okay, you can change it now.
Now the
Now that
WonderCon's
WonderCon.
done.
Okay.
And apparently you've got to make sure that it's both addresses. You go into your contact info. There's your home address and your badge shipping address, which are two separate things.
Good
I
call.
found out why
Yeah.
Why?
they have both. Because they do not ship internationally. So they have the shipping address and physical address more applies to that.
Okay. And they don't. Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
But the
I
one
mean,
thing.
it does make sense. I do think when they're emailing stuff out saying make sure you update your address, they should mention in that email as a reminder that they
Yeah.
have two places where you would need to. Yeah.
But I asked my friend. He was like, "This is why."
Oh, well, that's cool. And one semi-humorous story and then Bernie, if you could comment on this, because we were talking right before the show about the weapons policy, and both of you guys, Tom, who's usually on our show, and you know that we had quite a time getting Tom to his panel because Tom had a panel at 11 o'clock, and he was had this elaborate cosplay, and it was amazing with his bow and arrow and everything, but he had everything nailed down. He thought exactly how the weapons policy said. And Tom, right now, he has an injury to his hip, and so it takes him a little bit of time to get there. So he was he made his way for like a couple of blocks over to the convention center, showed up, and he couldn't go in. And so he was super late to his panel because he basically had to come all the way, hobble all the way back, and we had to try to drive him over there and get him in. But he had a bow and arrow, and he did not. He had all the arrows secured. All the tips were sawed off, and it was. But he had a string on his bow, which he did not realize. You said that you had heard about some of these. What was it you were saying before the show?
Well, as everyone adjusts their policies after the incident last year, it was
incident
smart
being-
to do so. It was in. I mean, I don't want to give them bad publicity, but in Phoenix Comic Con, and one guy did get in there armed with weapons, and they caught him before any harm was done, and that's great. But there's been a lot of scrutiny about this, and it's a huge kind of philosophical war between more safety versus the philosophy of like not letting terror win. And a lot of cosplayers are up in arms over not letting terror win or using that as a mask because they're selfish, and some of us are. And we just want our stuff to look as good as it possibly can.
Yeah.
And everyone makes an excuse like, but this thing couldn't possibly, yada yada yada. In some instances, it's really about the company that owns the venue.
Yeah.
Some of those larger companies like AEG and things like that, they'll set the rules for you, and the con can't do anything about that. If you're in an AEG venue, it's going to be like this. If you're in, a Live Nation venue, it'll be like that.
AEG being like Stanley's LA Comic Con.
That is one of them. AX is also in that convention center. Some con I hadn't heard of that's going to happen in like 2 weeks or 3 weeks, sometime first weekend of May. I don't know, but there's we'll see how that goes. There's not a lot of advertising for that one. So and it's really incumbent upon the cosplayers to educate themselves about what is and isn't, and honestly, shut up and deal with it. Like, the point here is that people care about safety, and that is more important than all the other things combined, because all it takes is one bullet.
Right.
All right. And yes, a lot of people have great points. Security should do their job properly and fully and check everybody that has something and figure out, like, you're hiring people that should be able to look at a gun and go, this is fake and can't do any harm. This is real and could do harm. Et cetera, et cetera. Yes, I'll give you those points, but they still don't matter. Like, we have mass shootings every few weeks in this freaking country. Get over yourself. So anyway, that's kind of what it is. And at WonderCon, I actually thought the security was really lax.
I was actually surprised.
I was surprised
that
too.
I carried a backpack and
They
never
didn't
checked.
back check
Never?
at
Yeah.
all.
Yeah.
They did. I was a
I don't know if
sexy
we should
version.
be calling that out,
Yeah.
but
Well,
okay.
Whatever.
so the WonderCon people who might hear the word might know.
You really got
we
to
should
be
check on that.
careful, or you end up in a hospital on Guerrero Street. It's terrible.
Yeah.
It really
I mean,
is.
even though it like sometimes is annoying to have your bag checked, I kind of like. I certainly
I will
understand, and
say
I don't really
this.
mind when they check mine.
I was a sexy version of Flynn Rider from Tangled, and they
you do
did
say
not.
so yourself.
And they did not allow me in with my frying pan. It was
What?
a real frying pan. It was not a foam prop.
Well, the frying pan was considered.
I knew
dangerous?
it was a 50-50. It's a big heavy metal, and if I was
could knock
swinging a
someone
frying
out with
pan,
it.
I could definitely break some noses.
Well, even if you're just carrying that around, it'd be so easy just to accidentally do something, you know?
How did you
In a
get
crowd full
that
of
through
people.
the door?
Well, the thing about the pound of gold right here is it's really more of a fashion accessory when it's wrapped around your waist.
Okay.
And everybody loved Ric Flair so much that they will let me walk anywhere without any kind of inspection.
So
Right.
we just do encourage you to look at the weapons policy of San Diego or any of the upcoming cons that you might be going to, because things are changing. Things are definitely changing very quickly.
I do want to credit Phoenix Comic Con, since we did talk about them. They've put out a really awesome video and it's fun, and it's like, this is acceptable and this is not acceptable,
Right.
to educate their fan base about what they can and can't do. And like, it's already been out, and they're not till the end of May, so
That's
they're really
awesome.
doing a good job.
And
of
you
getting
were
ahead.
there on site when this event happened this past year, right?
Yeah, and actually, it was a friend of mine that was the person that tipped off the police and was sending them. She had kind of a stalker. Her name's Reiko Diggs. She's from the band Lolita Dark. They're really awesome, and she's phenomenal. And she was concerned enough and made the call and said, "Listen, there's this guy that's like threatening. Thought that she was going to be at the con or something like that, and said that he had a weapon." So she was telling the police, and every time he would message her online, she would send it, and he was sending photos of potential targets, and that's how they found him.
And you know what? The thing that I loved about that situation, I didn't like anything about that situation, but the fact that the actor that was the target of this person,
Jason David Frank.
Yeah.
committed and came back the following year and said, "I'm not going to let this get me." And he came back, and good for him. Good
No,
for him
he's
for
awesome.
doing that. I think that was fantastic. So I hope that they. It sounds like it's one of the best cons in the country.
And it sounds
so-
like everybody did their job.
yes.
Phoenix
Take care of
does
that.
an
That's
incredible job. I could do a whole show
Yeah.
on how well run that con is.
Good. Last bit of information. Ben, anything else about weapons right now? I'm sure we'll get some.
Just be read that thing. If you have a prop or a weapon that you even think could not possibly be bad or be allowed, check, because I had a wooden knife that I could not bring in. So you really just have to be careful, because you used to be able to bring in wood and props, but now you can't, and has to be.
Here's what I'm going to say to conclude is, I challenge all of you guys that are phenomenal at what you do in the craft to make stuff that is very clearly safe and looks like what it's actually supposed to be. Because if you need something to look metal or look wood, you can do that with a good paint job on the right materials. You can do that on Sintra, you can do that on EVA, you can do that on L200. Like, there's all sorts of options. So instead of like,
What
"Man, I wanna
are
do this, I
those
wanna do
things
that."
you just said? I don't-
They're all materials that you can make props out of.
Okay.
People who really know their cosplay will know what he's talking about.
And here's the thing: if you're a character that has a weapon, the onus is now on you
Yeah.
to know that this stuff is happening. You may or may not be allowed in, and have a contingency plan. If you're gonna test it, okay, but you can't throw a fit when they don't let it in. Like, you're now going in, you're not being caught unawares. It was unfortunate when Phoenix had to react like the next day, and they still had 3 days of con left.
Right.
And they're just like, police are dictating that this isn't allowed, and then like at one point you couldn't bring in a Harry Potter wand. But then that changed as they had to knee jerk at first, and then they started making it better throughout the weekend.
Once they were able to convince them that the ones didn't actually do
yeah,
magic.
no, you couldn't sectum semprum anybody.
How are the giant Harley
No, those well,
hammers getting in?
They at Comic-Con they wouldn't let them.
No.
The giant Harley hammers?
They wouldn't let them in.
They did at WonderCon.
WonderCon is a lot different because it's interesting to me. People bring insane props to WonderCon and have.
I saw a lot of
huge
fake
scale,
guns this weekend.
but it was still a lot less than you're used to seeing.
My favorite gun of the weekend was a machine gun made out of balloons. I saw three or
Oh,
four
that's
of them.
the Belusionist.
The
He's
Belusion-
amazing.
The Belusionist.
Yes.
They were great.
Shout out to the Belusionist.
Yes.
What up?
I do have one more note about the weapons
Yep.
thing too. Another thing that is important to know, other than making sure that they are out of materials that aren't going to be flagged, you aren't. At least last year, you were not allowed to just carry anything. You had to have it physically attached to you with zip ties. So keep that in mind. If you have like a big gun that you want to just hold on your side, you weren't allowed to do that last year. Because my friend cosplayed as Bucky Barnes and wanted to just carry her gun with her as long as it had the weapons tag on it. She was not allowed to. They had to zip tie it so it was still attached to you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
No wiffle bat either. They don't like that.
oh yeah.
I had
probably not.
wiffle bat on my head before. I do Lucille. They don't like Lucille being Wiffle Bat.
He cosplayed as Abraham from The Walking Dead, had Lucille attached onto his head and brains coming up, but the wiffle bat was not allowed, the plastic bat. If it was a foam bat, they would have allowed it.
I interviewed Joe Keery from Stranger Things, and since then I think I want to do a Steve Harrington, so I'm going to have that that bat. I had him sign one, but it was an actual real wooden bat, and it was actually my bat when I was a kid in the 80s.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Gosh, back.
Yeah, but the nails, that's the tricky.
I'm going to drill around the signature, and I'm going to make foam nails.
There was a Harley this weekend that she had a bat with foam nails stuck through, and it looked great. You could not have.
Yeah,
you
I
could
mean,
not
you
have
can
told.
paint them
you
if you
could do it
paint
all
them.
in
Yeah.
foam.
So
It could be done.
we're gonna go ahead and move on. The last bit of information that is sort of San Diego Comic-Con related is that D23 Expo today was announced to be August 23rd through 25th next year. So it will be clearly away from a month away from San Diego Comic-Con. So this year kind of affected it greatly, and it was difficult for people that wanted to do both. Like I did both, and it was basically a week and a half of cons. It seemed like. But
What's interesting about that is that likely means that we will get Disney informational drops this year in
That's
San
what I
Diego.
was just gonna say.
Yeah.
yes,
Because this past year it was all they saved all that for D23, and there
this
didn't
year?
have as much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like 2017, they didn't have as much stuff.
I can tell you, there's going to be a large Marvel presence this year at San Diego Comic-Con. This is their 10-year anniversary.
Yeah.
They are putting on.
Oh, that's right. Iron Man was 2008.
They are putting on a giant 10-year anniversary show. It's not going to be an Infinity War show. It's a 10-year anniversary. The
Interesting.
Road to Infinity War show. And
All about that.
I tell you what, this is the year to be in the Marvel panel.
That's a big
That's even
movie
better than
star.
I went to the Avengers one, the last one,
Yeah.
and that was insane. So I
Are
can't
they going to have like
imagine
a
that.
4-hour panel?
It's big. It's all I know is that
Maybe they'll do the night thing that DC TV tried that one time. Yeah, they should do that.
I'll break a mild thing that's going. Oh, not a mild thing, but I'll break a thing that's happening in San Diego Comic Con.
What's that?
The Thursday night after party of note will be my after party at the Basement Nightclub. We will have Dante Basco Rufio on DJ.
Oh, yeah?
Oh yeah.
And it sounds like Dan Fogler wants to come out and do some stuff.
Seriously?
Yeah. Yeah, we had a nice little chat this weekend, and yeah, he wants to do some stuff. So
All right. We are going to jump to that in just a second. The only thing that I want to cover that's not WonderCon or San Diego Comic-Con related, can we see your shirt right there?
I don't know. If,
I'm
Can I
all about
stand
this
up?
right
Yeah,
now.
just very quickly, very quickly. Join the hunt. What is this? Join the hunt.
the Scooby Doo Supernatural crossover that is airing this week.
That we've been waiting years for.
That's
is
such
a-
a genius idea, by the way.
Well, myself and Cheeseman, who's not on the couch today, but Tommy on the couch, we attended the Paley Fest. And Anthony, I think we have a picture there from Paley Fest. It's the Scooby right there. So there's the promo for Scooby Doo meets the Winchesters, and they had the Mystery Machine out there. They also had Dean's car. What's his name?
Baby.
Baby. Oh, Baby. And it was pretty great. It was a great panel. Cheeseman, do you have anything
Look
to say?
at that baby face. Wow. That look good-looking guy. I'll tell you.
But anyways, for those of you who don't know, they're having a crossover episode with the Winchesters jumping in with Scooby Doo. And you said you've been waiting for years for this.
Since the last meta episode, which I think was when they were themselves on the set of Supernatural.
Oh yeah.
That was like the 100th episode.
Something like
wasn't
that,
it?
yeah. It was in like season
The
6 or
200th
7.
was
the
something like
musical,
that.
yeah. 200th was the
100th
musical.
was the French
Yeah.
mistake, they called it. which
Yes.
was great.
Also great. I think like, yeah, and seeing that kind of crossover, this is so exciting, guys. I'm a huge Supernatural fan. I can't wait for
I
this.
am too. And I haven't been as into it lately just because it just stacks up on my DVR, and then I've got like 15 episodes to watch. I'll watch every fourth one just to
I
catch up.
watched it in the weirdest way. So I've always known that it would be my jam, but I never had time for it. And last February at a pre-Oscars party, well, actually the day after, but as a result of the events of the party, the day after I tore my calf muscle. And so I was on the couch for a couple weeks, and I'm like, all right, this is my chance to do Supernatural. I'm going to crush that show while I'm sitting on the couch. And I was on the couch about 2.5 weeks. And I didn't realize, not only at that time was it 11 seasons in, I caught up in the middle of the 12th, but that it was the old 22 episode, format.
yeah.
And so
It takes a while.
I'm like, I'm going to crush this thing. I got through like 5.5 seasons before I was able to walk around and get back to work.
Have you guys seen? Did you see the backdoor pilot for Wayward Sisters?
Yes.
Yes.
That's going to be a good show if they can make that work. Like they tried one before and it just
That was terrible. I wanted it to be good so badly because it one has one of the an actor that I really love from Vampire Diaries in it, but it was just very, very badly executed.
Wayward Sisters feels like
Yes.
Supernatural. It's got the humor, and it's got they're dressed in the same kind of rough Midwestern,
Yeah.
flannel and jeans.
in that episode, you see the maturation of some of those younger actresses,
Yep.
and I think that's the difference.
Yeah.
They're super interesting. It was a super interesting episode, and you almost didn't even want Sam and Dean to be there to fix it. He's like, man, these girls, they're going to fix it. These ladies are going to fix it. So it looks like it's going to be a good show. I hope it gets picked up.
It's the way a spin-off should supposed to be, where there has to be some continuity from some characters from an existing.
Which characters are they using? Because I didn't see this one.
Jody's going to be the lead.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is it Claire?
Claire,
yep.
Castiel's human daughter.
Right.
Yeah.
Which is interesting. That's
I
interesting.
can actually see that.
Yeah,
I
and
can see
then
that working.
I forgot the other one.
She's really the most compelling character on
Yeah.
it, is Claire, and it's the change in her character portrayal that I think really drives it. And the thing that I love about it is, while I hate the idea that Supernatural is going to end because I love it, I want to see the boys freed up to do other things. I really would have loved to see what Jensen looked like as Captain America, and he was the choice before Chris Evans.
I did not know that.
Yeah, he couldn't. He couldn't, get out of Supernatural to be able to do it. Actually, can you imagine
Warner Brothers kept
him as Cap and Jared as Bucky?
Well, didn't
Kinda would've
Wait,
been
did they
amazing.
announce the end of the show yet? You're making it sound as if they have announced the end.
The rumors behind the scenes are that
14th season.
That 14th is going to be it.
Yeah,
that's the rumor.
because
And
they
if
want to
you-
hit is it the 200th or 300th episode?
They've already hit 200.
They-
so
yeah,
it'll
they
be
had
It's the
200.
300th episode they want to hit, which will be in the 14th
Right.
season. Yeah.
And if you think about it, if it ends, Wayward Sisters is a great way that they can and now and again, unless they die,
Yep.
they can come back on Wayward Sisters now
Even
and again.
if they
and we
do
just get enough
die,
of
they
that.
could probably come back. Because
Yeah,
that's happened
sure.
on the show a lot
Look,
already.
Bobby's still around.
Yeah.
Everyone's in the alternate. But the thing was, it's still it's the most popular show on the CW. The president of the CW says it's his favorite show. And Entertainment Weekly came out this week with an interview talking about how this is the top-rated show. It's their show. It's still the show that carries the network.
It's so impressive because if you look at the tropes that they've already been through, the storylines they've been through, like, dude, they had God and God's sister.
Yep.
Like, the darkness. How do you
top that?
but they keep finding ways to make it provocative.
Yep. All right, so we are going to real quick. We're going to do a call out. I am wearing all my Marvel gear today because Marvel did some very good things recently. Well, they're always doing good things, but Black Panther this past weekend became the highest grossing domestic superhero movie of all time. I just think that's amazing. And not only did they did
It's
good
the first
with that,
week that it hasn't been number one, by the way.
I know, this is week number 6.
It sustained number one all the
we
way
go, there's the
through.
applause.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's a good film. It talks about important things,
And our studio audience loves it.
No
All
one's
right.
gonna go. No one did that with me. Okay.
All right.
I can't.
True.
Another thing for Marvel.
I do it like this, 2 hands.
Today, Marvel started principal production on Captain Marvel's. Finally.
Yep.
In Los Angeles. They're filming it in LA. They almost film exclusively in Atlanta, so this is a really good movie. And the last thing for Marvel, it's not quite MCU, but it's kind of cool. This past week, the Deadpool trailer dropped, and it's the cleverest thing. Have you guys seen it?
Yes.
They can do no wrong.
My favorite part of the trailer. From the studios that brought you
Yeah.
27 dresses.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they're
that was
continuing
good.
off of the kind of like the publicity they had for the first one, like with the Valentine's Day, like, oh, a Valentine's Day movie with like the ads of it being a love story. It's kind of the same thing where they're spoofing that, and I love it.
All right.
So great.
So we are going to jump right into WonderCon because that is the topic of this episode.
Yeah.
And we just got back. I mean, for us, I don't know when you guys are watching it this week, but for those of us in the room, we just got back yesterday. Yesterday ended WonderCon. All right. General consensus in the room. Let's go around. Bernie, what did you think of the weekend, and what kind of stood out for you?
I had a lot of fun, but if I'm looking at the convention itself, Friday was super light. That was the lightest Friday I've seen at WonderCon since it moved to Anaheim. But Sunday was bigger because obviously it's the first year that it wasn't Easter Sunday. So I'm wondering if that wasn't a trade-off that kind of happened there.
Sunday was super packed.
Yeah,
Extremely packed.
And normally it's a ghost town because of Easter. So that was just an interesting dynamic to see happen. I thought that the floor was also a little light in vendors. It seemed like there were some bigger presences that we didn't see this year. And also, I think that in programming they didn't have kind of the heavy hitting firepower that we've seen WonderCon have. WonderCon. When it first came down here, it was really like a little baby brother to San Diego,
right? And it started up in San Francisco,
up north, yeah. And then it grew into being like really a kissing cousin to San Diego, and had some nice media presence, and we were getting some breaking news, and some pretty big stars were showing up, and it just felt like that was a little bit missing this year, which means it's probably all going to be jam packed into San Diego. But as always, WonderCon is one of the most enjoyable of the year because Anaheim Convention Center is the best placed.
Yeah.
Like with the hotels right there, with Disney right there, with all these hotel options, with all the social options, it's really fantastic. So whether it's that D23 or BlizzCon, it's always fun to be down there.
Yep. Katie?
Yeah, it was definitely interesting to see all of it now the construction is done. Because like last year there was still some
that's right. They have the
construction going
expansion of the convention center, which is great.
Last year it came back to Anaheim after going to LA, and it was still under construction, I think, last year. And it was, like you said, like with the difference between, I love Comic-Con obviously, but like everything, there's no space to move.
Yeah.
And at WonderCon, that whole area between the arena and the convention center is such a nice area, and
they had new food trucks back there, and the fountain back there.
That is one thing I have a little bit of a bone to pick with them, is the food trucks, just because they're in a terrible spot. Everybody's trying to go into the con while also going through all the lines of all the people
They
in
need
there.
a real quick, easy solution, because I agree with you, but is to put stanchion queues.
Yeah.
Because the problem is the lines intersect your walking path, and it's like, duh.
Yeah, and
You
it makes it a little bit difficult to move around to
And
get into the con.
And on the last day of the con, I know that my buddy Greg, he's still a big Pokemon player. I didn't know that was still around, but apparently they have the upper levels of it. And as we were walking into where you had to go through the food truck promenade to get to the convention center, there was like hundreds and hundreds of people gathered there at the entrance, and they were having a giant Pokemon, what do you call it?
Pokemon Go.
Gym battle?
Yeah, a gym
battle,
battle
yeah,
with
right.
hundreds of people. So we lost Greg there, but we had to push ourselves through to get to the
You
crowds
lost
of the.
Greg there? He was a casualty of the battle?
I did not see him till 5 hours later.
As usual, like if we're gonna kind of knock something, I usually like to give a solution. I think the only other place they could put those food trucks is around that auditorium, the fountain area and stuff like that. Was
And they
pretty
had
light.
a couple back there, but
Yes, they did.
I think they could pull them back there. I don't want to jump. I don't want to diss it too much. I'm not the biggest fan of all those food trucks. They're all great food. They take so long to get in. They
do, but imagine what would happen if you didn't have them and everyone had to bombard either the convention center, cruddy food, or
they have the best turkey burgers inside the grill
or
by
the hotels.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
No, I'm glad they're there, but man, oh man,
and
they were
actually,
expensive. You can get anything less than $15.
You can. Well,
It's
less than
just-
15 you can, but it's usually at least 10 or 12. But it wasn't a long wait for us. I mean,
really?
Laura and I
really
just split one, and we were just going to get more to eat later. So that was just to tide us over.
But
What about this guy on panels?
Yeah, let's talk
You're
real
on
quick.
panel.
Let's talk about some of our. And wait, Derek, what about you? What was your overall impression?
I was only able to be there on Saturday because I had to work Friday and was volunteering on Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
But I had a great time. I just hung out in the arena pretty much all day.
Right.
And there was one panel after another that I just really enjoyed. Even the shows that I haven't. Like Fear the Walking Dead, I'm really behind on, and I didn't think I was going to be interested in Batman Ninja, but I got there late and caught the end of it, and then saw who was actually in the cast.
And a friend of yours is on the cast.
Yeah. So it was just a great time.
You
Just
can
hanging out
mention
in
the
there.
friend of yours.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Well, Tony Hale.
Tony Hale.
I had no idea he was playing the Joker.
Yeah,
And
I
then Tom Kenny, the voice of SpongeBob,
Yeah.
was in there too. I mean, it was just it was cool to see that, and all the panels were just very entertaining. And
What did
a good
Tommy
time.
think? What did Tommy think?
I had a great time. Yeah, kind of slow on Friday, but I saw a Jurassic Park panel. But I wish they were more visual. They talk more about dinosaur weird stuff. A little different. They didn't really talk as much about movie as they should.
Yeah, the Jurassic
Right.
Park panel was more like from some paleontologist
Back to the
perspective.
Future, much better. I go to that one.
At least
one?
nobody.
Back to the Future.
Oh, the Back to the Future panel.
I even asked a question there.
Yeah, Tommy got up and asked a question as Tommy, and they answered it too.
That's about
Nice.
closing a ride. They don't like that.
At least nobody at WonderCon called the police wondering if any of the dinosaurs that they saw walking around there were real, unlike Arizona. That's a real story, guys. That's a real story.
All right, so let's talk about panels. Some of our favorite
Yes.
panels. Bernie, you actually hosted a panel. Tell us about it.
I hosted a panel, and there were two great panels that I went on. I'll just shout those real quick. So, Gay Geeks and Where to Find Them was a really cool panel. Chris Riley was on that. Xander from Library Bards was on that. And then there was a great advanced prop making fabrication panel by Mad Props. And then I hosted on the Stargate panel run by Stargate Command, and we had Chris Judge, who was Teal'c in Stargate SG-1, told some fantastic stories about the auditioning process to get on that show and how many different people were considered for Teal'c, and actually the fact that he only knew about that script because a friend of his left the sides sitting on his coffee table, and Chris read them and called his agent and said, "Get me in that room." And then a flatulence war between him and Richard Dean Anderson.
That was
the
a funny
entire-
story. I was in there for that.
Yep. And all sorts of fun stuff. And he's just a really great guy. He was so gracious with fans that were running up for autographs and selfies and stuff like that. And I host the weekly Stargate rewatches on Stargate Command, so it was really cool to finally get to interact with one of the SG-1.
Wait, and so where can we watch those?
Those are on. They're now on the Stargate Command's YouTube channel. So they're live every Wednesday at 4 p.m. Pacific time, which conflicts with no nerd podcasts ever. It's an interesting time, but a lot of Stargate fans are international, so we got people watching from Sweden and Germany and Venezuela and all sorts of places. But that's every Wednesday at 4 p.m. and we watch 2 episodes, do a pre and post. Sometimes I have guests. It's cool.
Well, that was a really cool panel, and we tried to. The thing is, it was packed. It was so packed.
Yeah.
Because me and Tommy were trying to make our way up to say hi to you but we had to wait till everybody deflated the room and came out.
Popular guy, big movie star.
Big movies, yeah. So, Katie, what about you, panel-wise?
I actually only went to 2 panels because on Friday I was mostly walking around the floor and cosplaying, and then Saturday I went to the Marvel meetup and ended up going to the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. panel because I was excited to see what would happen with it being in the arena this year, and it was really, really cool. I did enjoy the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. panel. They always bring it. The cast is so
By the
much
way,
fun.
your picture is up right now. I think.
Yeah.
I think. So this is how Katie was out cosplaying, and which day was this?
This was Friday. This is the cosplay I made for this specifically that I hadn't worn before, and it's Liv Moore from iZombie.
If you can describe it, so for those who are just listening.
So yeah, it's a dress that she wore for an anything but clothes party on the show. So it's made of caution tape or crime scene
Now
tape.
let's talk about your top. I'm just
So-
kidding. I'm just kidding.
So yeah, so that was what I did. It got received really well. It was the best cosplay I think I've ever had reception-wise, other than my Anime LA one. So
That's
that
an
was fun.
amazing cosplay. And then what's this?
This is for Saturday for the Marvel meetup where I was Agent Rogue or not Rogue. Ugh, I can't talk. Okay.
Daisy?
Rogue, Quake from Agents
yeah.
of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yeah.
So I did that for the Marvel meetup and then also for the panel, which I forgot all the questions I wanted to ask, so I couldn't ask it as Quake, so that was a little bit of a sad day. But I did enjoy that panel. It
I
was,
liked your video of that. Remember? You got caught. Your badge.
my lanyard got stuck underneath my foot and completely broke.
Yeah.
Oh no.
So yeah, that was an interesting blooper from that.
And since we're on cosplay, hey Anthony, would you mind showing the couple of pictures from Bernie? Because Bernie and Katie are duking it out to see who's the best cosplayer.
That's impressive.
This
Look at
is
that
impressive.
guy.
Look at this. This is. Can you describe what?
Big scary guy.
So this is me dressed as 16-time World Wrestling Champion Ric Flair. With the pound of gold belt, which is on my shoulder right now. That beautiful robe was made for me by Chad Hatter, who's a phenomenal designer.
That was amazing, yeah.
Anytime you want something long and flowy, like a gown or anything like that, Chad is the man. And then I actually did a lot of the other detail work on the rest of that costume. And then this was an actual statement cosplay group put together by the Adventure Effect. Then I was very happy to be invited in.
And there's another picture he's showing us right now. Can you describe what we're seeing? Yeah.
So right now you're seeing the Playboy Princes, and what this group was about was carrying an anti-harassment message and showing how cosplayers are reacting to the Me Too movement moving its way into the cosplay world, and talking about consent and harassment, shaming, things like that. And Adventure Effect created this concept, designed all the costumes, executed this, and we had propaganda all ready to release as we came out onto the floor on Friday. We had done a photo shoot on Sunday the week before, and we all had like magazine covers that are full of awesome double entendres and puns, but also consent messaging, anti-harassment messaging, and it's a lot of stuff like, don't touch someone without asking. Don't, no inappropriate commenting or shaming.
Even
Obviously,
asking to take their pictures.
yes,
even.
absolutely.
And you know what's interesting? That it's cool that you brought this up, because I know that we're in the middle of the Me Too and the Time's Up, and Time's Up something different. Me Too. I don't want to mix the messages there, but like it seems like in our communities here, cosplay is not consent. We were way ahead on that. That was something it's been around with cosplay for years.
Yeah, I mean,
And
to a degree,
it's
this
great that you
definitely
guys-
takes it a whole other level.
It's great
but-
that it's a group of guys right there doing that. That's what's awesome.
And the reason for that was to show that harassment happens to everybody, and while we all know it happens infinitely more to women, we all 100% know that it does happen to everybody, and we felt that it was important. Adventure Effect felt that it was important to have men kind of carrying this statement too, so that other men see us and go, oh, okay, this is, because a lot of times it takes seeing someone you relate to listen, which is unfortunate, but it just is what it is. And so at least, and for me personally, the impetus for me of being a part of this group was, I believe in the messaging. I believe in what everyone's trying to accomplish. Everyone has different ways of going about it, and we could all get into vitriolic arguments about that. But I believe in the end result. And for me, I know that if, Joe Q, cosplay guy in, Inland Empire that happens to like my feed and like my zany costumes, sees that and goes, oh, Bernie is one of the people that is like, yo, we need to treat people with more respect. We need to not do certain things, and maybe they didn't grow up with a good, strong femme influence that taught them these things. Then they're gonna go, oh, maybe I should listen,
right?
And if that's freaking 5 people, then it's totally worth it. But those images have been shared over 1,000 times.
That's awesome. And you know what? Sometimes we take it for granted. I was brought up, and if my mom and dad, you guys raised me right. They would not. I had a very strong mother who those types of things were not allowed from her sons, and so she raised us right. But so many people seem they weren't raised right, and messages
Even
like this
if you
are
were
great.
raised right, you might still have been raised wrong to a degree, because the paradigm was totally different. What we thought was acceptable 15, 20 years ago, we now know shouldn't have been. And you can get into the argument of whether or not you can hold people accountable in the past for working within set parameters, but the point is we're changing those parameters, right? Rightfully so. We need to completely deprogram and reprogram both genders, because both genders were raised wrong.
Thank you for bringing that tonight. And can you guys, hey, are you able to see this? I don't know if the camera can zoom in close enough to this, but probably not.
Who's in the caution dress?
Maybe you should describe it.
Justin Prentice. So our friend Brad is he's a photographer. He does a lot of celebrity photography.
Pass it around here.
But he did Katie's. He was a guest star on the show of iZombie.
Katie's like, I've seen that
On that
dress.
episode.
On that episode, which is kind of cool. And then while we're in the middle of cosplay, real quick, we kind
I'm
of
just gonna say he's very beautiful.
economize our time here, because Derek, I do want to get to yours as well. Yeah. But since we're in cosplay, Anthony, would you mind showing the YouTube link for Tommy Goes to the Park? Here we go. It's a 1-minute video here.
Oh, look at that guy.
I know
Johnny
that,
Depp, who should play me a movie.
So we're watching Tommy Wiseau with the Marvel heroes here, back to back with Loki. So if you guys get a chance, we'll be putting this video on our website of Tommy
A
Wiseau.
little slideshow. Everybody loved Tommy.
Tell us what we're seeing, Tommy.
Johnny Depp.
Team
We got the
Rocket.
Jack Sparrow version. We got
Bernie.
Pokemon. We
hey.
got Bernie there.
I know that
Tony
guy.
Stark. We got hi
Bob
Doggy from
Pew.
Space
Oh, hi,
Force.
doggy. Oh, hi, doggy.
We got Big
dude.
Lebowski. We got
Princess.
my
Leia.
Princess Leia.
Yo, princess.
And another doggy guy.
Powerline.
Yeah.
And we got Joker, who should be get ready to see Tommy as that, and then my princess. I do anything for my princess.
Captain EO.
EO.
Oh, nice.
Almost done.
Oh, and a little Joker Batman.
Yep.
It's great.
And there's your princess.
Another princess.
And then
There's Aladdin.
Terry.
Richard Casillas on his moving carpet. That's
The
great.
Black Panther. I joined cast Black Panther.
So
Best crossover on Marvel ever.
we will be putting that video on our site tonight, or just watch watch our podcast here so you can watch.
We're about to run out of time. We have not talked about panels.
All right, panels, Derek.
Yeah. All right. So of course we did mention Ready Player One.
God, I can't wait.
Absolutely love this book, and I pretty much cry when I watch the trailers. Like, it's all I can do to hold the tears in. And when the panel started, like, I could feel myself tearing up and a lump in my throat because they started with this montage of clips from classic Steven Spielberg movies and everything leading up to it before they introduced the cast. So I opened up the backpack I was carrying and started just like eating all the snacks that I had to try to, just not spend the whole time bawling, because I didn't want to, cry in public if I could help it. But yeah, and anyway, I ended up eating like almost our whole bag of trail mix that was supposed to last for the day, and had to apologize to my wife about that. She was very understanding though.
So you're super excited about the film, huh?
I am. Like,
Bernie, because Bernie has read the book 3 times. You've read the book a couple of times.
I'm reading it for the second time now.
Yeah.
Let's see if
I'm
I
going
can
to tell
finish
you
it in
guys,
3
the
days.
audiobook read on Audible by Will Wheaton is fantastic.
Will Wheaton did it?
Yes. And the part where he references himself is priceless.
That actually might be the one. Is there more than one audiobook? Because I think that's the
I'm
one I
only
listened
aware
to.
of that one.
Okay. Because
Yeah.
I listened to it on audio before. I like, this is my first time actually just reading it myself. But yeah, if you're not familiar with the concept of the story, it's set in
2045?
Yeah, 2045.
Yeah.
And the idea is that there's this huge interactive universe online where everybody's spending their time, because with the environment and the economy and everything the way it is, they want to escape. The guy who created it has become this billionaire. He dies, and his will is, I've hidden an Easter egg somewhere in the Oasis, which is
In the
this
game.
online world.
Yeah.
And the person who finds it can control the Oasis and my fortune.
$250 billion, if I recall.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
So this is mainly about this one kid who's on this quest to try and find it all before this corporation tries to find it and take over, basically ruling the world by ruling the Oasis. And
Yep.
it's pretty awesome. And it's
It's
full
phenomenal.
of 80s and 90s references, because that's when the creator of
Ernest
it.
Cline, if I'm not mistaken,
Yeah.
also the writer of Fanboys.
Oh, yeah?
I believe that is.
And did you guys go to the panel?
That sounds right. I'd have to check on that.
You were at the panel, right?
yeah, the panel
What'd you
was
learn
great.
at the panel that, anything?
Did you learn anything new about the panel? Just a few things that might be different from the book. Certainly, you're not going to have in a movie somebody sitting playing a Pac-Man game for 6 hours.
Thank goodness.
Which you can read about in a book because you're in the character's head and it's
Yep.
fun. On screen, it's going to be different. But I think what they're going to do on screen instead is going to be a lot cooler.
Listen,
for a movie.
in Spielberg, I trust. Find me a
Yeah.
blemish on his record other than Crystal Skull. Everyone gets a mulligan.
Yeah.
Okay, and we're gonna end on Fear the Walking Dead. But before we jump to Fear the Walking Dead, any other panels that that you guys want to call out? Any other events? Because I do have one thing I want to ask Bernie before we jump over there.
Lost in Space. was
Lost
kind
in
of fun to
Space.
watch, yeah.
That was a pretty good pilot. You saw it, didn't you?
A little too much crying.
Too much crying.
But a lot of good stuff.
crying.
And
Parker
special effects
Posey.
really good.
Parker Posey
She's
was
awesome.
She's the
Love
best
her.
part. But
Yeah.
I admit they almost went too intense and there was too many cry moments, and I don't remember Lost in Space being that sad. But it
It's
was
not going to be the same
They'll
Lost
probably
in
get
Space you knew
better.
before.
I like it darker.
Right,
You know
yeah.
how Battlestar became darker, how everything gets dark. It was good. It had the moments that people really jumped out of their seats for, like Danger, Will Robinson. That
Yeah,
brought
that was a
everybody to
good
their.
line.
Of course, people were going to cheer for
That was great. And then
But
you
we
heard that
can't
the.
say too much about it.
Oh yeah, we're not supposed to talk too much about it.
I only saw
Why?
the end of that panel.
Yeah?
But I saw like the little like teaser reel or whatever it was of it, and I was like,
It looks awesome. Looks awesome. Bernie, one question. When are you going to have a party at WonderCon? WonderCon, okay, my big complaint, it was woefully bereft of after parties. Although, the Hilton, where you held
Marriott.
court.
Hilton party, baby. Hilton Con.
Yeah, Hilton Con.
Hilton Con is part of the reason I don't. And the thing is Comic-Con International that owns WonderCon in San Diego, they are not interested in a branded party. Like it's not their thing. And they actually buy out all of the ballrooms in both of the hotels that are right there, and they don't use like 60% of it. And so then people don't like to go off site
Right.
and things like that unless it's like literally right there. So I just didn't believe in it. But I'll tell you that the other reason that I didn't, at least this year, and I might next year, but I haven't thrown one of those big ragers since my big Halloween party with the Black Eyed Peas at LA Comic Con.
Yep.
Because of all of the issues with consent in Me Too and things like that.
Okay.
Because as a programmer and producer, I need, or at the time, I needed to increase my education on the subject to be able to responsibly throw those, and I couldn't. In the last several weeks, I've met with several people that are specialists in conflict resolution, grief counselors, social workers, accredited people, to help me come up with a game plan to be able to responsibly do it. There is no such thing as 100% safe space, but I need to be able to do everything I can to know that I did everything I could.
Right.
And now I have a game plan for that. And so when I throw that San Diego party, that's going to be my first one of this year. There's a chance I might do something in Phoenix, actually. But other than that, those are the first ones on the docket because I needed to be educated, and I went and got that education.
Well, I hope we get.
So it's okay to take one con or two off to make sure that you've perfected all of that.
Oh, I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
I got a couple quick panels just to mention.
Hurry.
Boom Comics was great.
Boom Comics
they
is
made
amazing.
an announcement. Dark Crystal now comic.
Dark
coming
Crystal,
out.
yep.
So they do that. Bad Samaritan
The
Bad Samaritan, yeah.
came
that
out.
was
People were
fantastic.
really excited about that.
I've
The
seen
clips
it.
they showed.
It's David
Yeah.
Tennant is creepy as fuck.
Yeah.
Yeah, people
Yeah.
like that. And then there's another panel. This funny guy up here was on.
Oh yeah, we were on the panel. Full-time creative work on a part-time schedule. I'm going to give a shout out to those guys. We'll be doing a little bit of a review on the website for that. But if you are interested in taking your passions and really pushing it out and making a full-time career out of it, it's always a good panel to go check out.
Wish I knew it. I'd have been there.
Those guys, they talk, they network. Like one of the best things about that panel last year, a guy came to us and asking he wanted to publish this science fiction book. He had all kinds of questions, and we kind of helped him as much as we could. We pushed him, we connected him. This year, he came back with that book published.
That's great.
That was
That's
such
magnificent.
great. And I'm hoping to get him on the show here. Listen, I know we're going to go, and I'm sorry, Anthony, we're going 2 minutes over. That last and final video that we want to show, we had a really cool time. The Fear of the Walking Dead panel there, it was packed. But here's a really cool moment that we're going to close the show out on.
My name is Luke Cheeseman.
Oh, this guy.
Hey, Luke. Hey, Luke.
Hello. My question is for Maggie Grace.
You said that like I'm Luke Cheeseman.
We're watching Luke ask a question to Maggie Grace.
Superhero? Were you expecting
Star-Lord.
Star-Lord? There you go.
That's my real name.
What is your question for
Anyways,
Maggie?
my question for Maggie Grace is, what inspirations did you use to develop your character?
Wow. Gosh, I'm sorry, I'm so distracted by the asker of the question.
He's a
My
funny
cousin,
guy.
and I was really nervous about what question that was going to be. Yeah,
It's your cousin.
we grew up in Ohio together.
That's Luke's cousin.
Cheeseman!
Yes, right.
You got Cheeseman.
I was like, oh my god, what is this question?
When you were 4 and you pooped in the sand. Does he follow you around and like pop
I don't
up? To every con. Explain yourself, Cheeseman.
Sir, with the question at the lockout panel a few years ago, I asked her what her mom thought about the movie, so I think she was expecting something like that, but thought I'd keep it
At
simple
that
this
one, I was
time.
like, man, I'm in a movie with Lenny James, but we have no scenes together. Like, what the hell?
Oh yeah, we're in lockout.
Get your 15 seconds, Luke.
I know.
That's Lenny Jenkins who played Morgan on Walking Dead.
So-
Gosh, I forget the question. Preparing for the character, I believe?
The question was, what's an embarrassing thing you can tell everyone about Luke Cheeseman?
He tried
I mean, he sort of put himself out there for it. I gotta feel like.
I didn't think about reversing the table.
You could- yeah.
And I've had no sleep, so don't mess with me.
All right, that's pretty cool.
No, I think
I think we're at
there
the.
was a lot of
Unless she
yeah,
answered
it's just
All right.
question.
So,
In terms of advertising, the amount of times you got your name said by the people on the panel was pretty
Exposure
impressive.
right there.
Well, it's funny.
Yeah.
People say, "Hey, Cheeseman," when walking around, and then they
for the rest of the
some
night,
lady
and
take a picture of me.
everybody kept on wanting to take pictures of Cheeseman. Oh, you're the guy from the panel, and we got
great.
because of that, we got some guests who are going to be coming on our panel
Awesome.
really soon. We do have to wrap up, guys. We are at the end of our time tonight. This has been a spectacular show. It's been a lot of fun. If you didn't get a chance to go to WonderCon this year, don't worry. It's going to come right back next year, and it's going to be bigger and better than ever. And I do think they had a great lineup of panels this year. It seems like it's been a
I
little...
did not mention the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. panel, which was also great.
Yeah,
by the way.
we were all there.
That-
It was really good. They brought the whole cast.
And there was so much camaraderie between them, and it like
Will
makes
the
you love the
next
show that
season
much.
be
Finally in a
better?
big venue, too.
Who knows?
All right. Please subscribe to the podcast here, the Con Guy Comic-Con Prep Show. Just hit that button right there below the YouTube. If you're on iTunes, please subscribe to us. We come back every couple of weeks, and when we get closer to San Diego, we'll have a lot more shows as well. But you can find me. I am Jim Frye, the managing editor of theconguy.com and our sister site, thescareguy.com. You can find me at Con Guy Jim. Where can we find you guys?
Hi, I'm Derek Sams. You can find me at ConGuyDerek on Twitter.
I'm Katie, and you can find me on KT_Christine on Twitter and Instagram, or my cosplay account, which is Katie's_fairytale.
I am Bernie Bregman, aka The Geek Gatsby. You can find me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at The Geek Gatsby, at Nerds Like Us. And remember, to be the man, woo! You gotta beat the man! And I'm the man!
I don't get it. But
And I'm Tommy. I mean, you may know this guy, a funny guy here, Cheeseman on the Couch. You can find me on Twitter at CheeseOnCouch. But I also, with all this harassment talk, I just want to clear something up. That I did not hit her. I did not.
All right. We'll see you guys next
Thanks,
time
Tommy.
right here on the Con Guy Show.
Nice
Bye-bye.
catch.
yeah, that was good.
From producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire Popcorn Talk Network, we would like to thank you for tuning in. For questions or comments, be sure to visit popcorntalk.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of the Popcorn Talk Network.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only, do not necessarily reflect the views of the Popcorn Talk Network or its owners or principals.